Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And Andrea, great job this morning. I had to go print off a couple of pages of notes that I couldn't find, so I had to reprint. And so I apologize for being a minute or two late getting on. But Andrea, great job. And, she brought up the discussion of the universal DH and whether the National League will continue to employ the universal DH. And I've said this before, I really enjoyed the baseball season. I mean, it was short, albeit, but it was entertaining. It was different. The playoff schedule made it exciting. And tonight, Game 6, Gonsolin and Snell going at it at 8 o'clock tonight. But, you have to say, I don't know, maybe a purist who just, I don't know, who would enjoy it without the DH now that you've had the DH? It's sort of like, giving a kid a taste of ice cream. Before they ever tried it, they didn't know they liked it or not. But once they tasted the ice cream, they got to have more, right? It's the same way with the universal DH in baseball. Now that we've had it, whether you're a fantasy player, whether you're just a casual observer, or you're into it, a diehard, like we are, it still added a lot to the season. And I just don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to where we don't have it. So we'll see what the baseball rulers, czars, decide to do. It's certainly not a democracy. They're going to make a decision, and we're going to live with it, right? But I'm hopeful that with the excitement, and it's interesting to see when all is said and done, what the ratings will be for the playoffs in 2020 relative to the ratings for the playoffs last year. Or maybe we could compare the Major League Baseball ratings in the playoffs to the NBA playoffs, which everything I read about as far as the NBA is concerned, ratings were way down. Woeful ratings for the NBA. And what I read about the Major League Baseball ratings is they're up. I want to see what they finally are when we're finished, either today or tomorrow. We'll be done with the season and be looking forward to next year. But I think it's been a good year considering the obstacles that were placed in the way, how the season began with spring training and then was shut down, and then there was the uncertainty of whether or not we would even have a season. And then when it started back, the excitement that surrounded it, it was just, to me, one of the best years we've had. That's to me. Now, you can disagree with that. I hate we didn't have 162 games. Don't get me wrong. But when you take the environment and the state of things the way they are in 2020, you'll have to say it was a success. Baseball season has been a roaring success, and a part of that has been the universal DH. So here we go. Tonight it's Gonsolin and Snell. Dodgers lead 3-2. We're going to see how well Gonsolin did not pitch well in his first outing, did not pitch long in his first outing. It's a gotta-win game for the Rays, and should the Dodgers jump out ahead early, then the Rays are scrambling. And if the Dodgers jump ahead early, I think they go for the jugular. Look, when you get ahead in a best-of-7 game-deciding game, you go for the jugular every time. What does that mean? The Dodgers are up 5-2. I bring in tomorrow night's starter. I bring in Buehler. I bring in whoever. Who knows if tomorrow you'll be leading 5-2. Close the thing out. Now, if the Dodgers fall behind, you can just rest assured if it's a big lead, say Tampa's up 7-0, then I just got to believe Gonsolin's going to take one for the team, go as far as he can, so that the Dodgers will have all hands on deck for Game 7. It's going to be a great game. Look, every game has had some type of intrigue, some type of excitement. Nothing I don't think, can surpass Game 4. But we'll see. Maybe Game 6 does. But it's going to be quite the interesting game tonight. We shall see how things go. The Dodgers haven't won since 1988. How old were you when the Dodgers last won the World Series? How old were you? You could be listening to this show. You could be 30 years old, and you could say, I wasn't even born yet. I was 23. I was still in law school. And I've lived a lifetime. A whole generation. There are so many people who can say, I know where I was when Kirk Gibson hit the home run. And there's so many people who can say, I never saw it live, I've only watched it on video. Because it was 32 years ago. Dodgers looking to rectify ghosts from Christmas past tonight. And if not tonight, tomorrow. But if you're a Dodger fan, if you're a Dodger player, if you're a Dodger Connect in any way, you got to believe if you get ahead tonight, you got to try to win it all tonight. Because you never know what tomorrow will bring, especially in the game of baseball. So, we shall see how things go for the Dodgers. I think they win tonight. Every game I predicted wrong. I wanted, so I was going to predict Tampa Bay wins. We go to Game 7, but I'm thinking, no, you've been wrong every time. So just go with LA. I think the Dodgers win. Tampa's a great team. They can win, sure. They've won games. They've come back from behind. But I just believe the Dodgers win tonight. And wouldn't it not be appropriate? Kenley Jansen. Now, we know he's not the pitcher that he once was. But wouldn't it be appropriate? The Dodgers led by a few runs. And the ninth inning, they put Kenley Jansen in just to finish off the game. Look, Kenley Jansen. Other players, first of all, may have even opted out of the season having the health issues history that Kenley Jansen's had. David Price opted out. He didn't play. Judge that how you wish, but the bottom line is he chose not to play. Other players opted out of the season. Kenley Jansen, who has had heart issues over the past few seasons, decides, I'm going to play. I want to be a part of something. I respect that. I really respect Kenley Jansen going out, and I understand it's a risk. I'm sure he's taken all precautions all season long to ensure that he is healthy, that he is distanced socially as he should be. And it would just be so appropriate for Kenley Jansen to throw the last pitch of the World Series and the Dodgers walk off World Series champs. We shall see. We'll start tonight at 8 o'clock. Word this morning is wide receiver. We're going to football. You ready? Are you ready for some football? Because here you go. I give you 10 minutes of baseball. No game last night. We'll certainly talk World Series on Thursday morning when I'm back with you. But Antonio Brown has now officially signed an hour ago with the Bucs. If you are a fantasy football player, raise your hand. And if you have picked up Antonio Brown, raise your hand. And if you are eager to see the results of your labors picking up Antonio Brown, I think he's going to do great. First of all, the existing wide receivers in Tampa, well, they're going to take a hit, no doubt about it. Last week, I told you about my fantasy team, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Down 60-some points early on. Okay? Came back, won by 1.5 points last night, baby doll. Did you hear that? 1.5 points. 143 point something to 141 point something. But all I had left down 60 was a quarterback, a kicker, and a defender. And a quarterback, a kicker, and a defender brought me a win. But Antonio Brown is going to have impact. I think he's going to be possibly the pickup of the year. Let's look at the top performers, from last week in fantasy. PPR, Tyler Lockett. I read where Tyler Lockett's 45.50 points were the 14th best all time amongst wide receivers. 200 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, 15 catches. Second on the list this week, Kyler Murray, followed by Justin Herbert. That's right, Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, 347 yards in the air, 3 passing touchdowns, 66 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Now, I'm in a 14-team league. And if anyone in my league is listening, I am the owner of Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert. I will trade one of those for a running back of similar quality or a wide receiver of similar quality because I believe that much in Herbert, the third ranking player in football fantasy this past week. Number 4, the GOAT, Tom Brady. He scored 40.16 points. Rounding out the top 5, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati quarterback, 406 passing yards against Cleveland, 3 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. Now we get to Devontae Adams at 6, Russell Wilson at 7, Baker Mayfield at 8, Carson Wentz at 9, and Jeff Wilson at number 10, the San Francisco running back, who later today it is reported will go on the IR. He will have to miss 4 games. And so the question is going to be, what's San Fran going to do at running back? Shanahan is one of these who keeps things close to the vest. Probably the rookie will come up and play. We'll see. Next up, James Robinson, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Drew Brees, Deontay Johnson, a big week for the Steelers in the top 20. 2 receiving touchdowns, 80 yards. He seems to be Roethlisberger's favorite target. A.J. Brown, Tyler Boyd, DJ Moore. How about the Buffalo kicker Tyler Bass? 23 points. He had 3 field goals of 40 to 49 yards, a 50-yarder, and a 20-yarder. 23 fantasy points. Derek Carr, Daniel Sorensen, the safety for Kansas City, Teddy Bridgewater, and rounding out the top 25, Todd Gurley. So transactional trends, something to always look at. And if you look, I'm looking at my Yahoo League, and the most dropped players so far are kickers who don't play this week. Gonzalez for Arizona, who scored 16 fantasy points last week on my team. I've cut him too. And